according to the U.S. Health and Human Services, more than 2/3 of those 65 years and older will need some form of long-term care in their lifetimes. Now, this is kind of a scary statistic, and actually there's a lot of scary numbers around long-term care.
Yeah, we talk about the cost of long-term care. People talking about $10,000, $12,000 a month. So we don't want to do any scare tactics in these videos.
So we're going to just break it down, demystify it, give you real numbers so that you can make some informed decisions.
This is going to be a 3-part video series. So be sure to subscribe so you get the full 3 videos. But here's what we're going to cover in each video. Today, we're going to talk about what is long-term care. They use all these crazy definitions. We're going to give you real-life examples of what is long-term care. How likely are you to need it? That's based on your age and gender. And finally, what are the costs associated with long-term care?
In next week's video, we will talk about whether or not you should consider buying long-term care insurance and give you 5 questions that you can ask yourself to give you a clear answer.
Most of the information for these videos is coming from a September 2021 article from Kiplinger's Personal Finance, and they do a great job breaking down 5 questions. Look, you might listen to this video and say, boy, I think I should probably plan for long-term care, and then watch next week's video and say, okay, maybe I don't have to actually purchase long-term care insurance to plan for it.
There are other solutions which we will talk about in our 3rd video about different types of long-term care plans.
That's right, Amber. We're even going to talk about one little-known plan that allows you to use untaxed gains in a very certain investment to actually pay for long-term care tax-free. Never have to pay capital gains or any income tax on those gains in your account if it's used for long-term care. We're going to cover that in the 3rd week. So again, subscribe to get all of these video updates.
Long-term care is actually defined by activities of daily living.
Now, Amber, there are 6 of them, and they like to use all these fancy terms like continence and transferring and all these other things. I'm going to break it down for our viewers. How to know if you need long-term care. Think of everything you do right now from the time you wake up until you leave the house for the day. Can you get out of bed in the morning? Can you hold it on the way to the bathroom? Can you use the bathroom, bathe yourself, dress yourself, and feed yourself? Those are the 6 activities of daily living. Sometimes they call them ADLs. If an individual needs help with 2 or more of those 6 items, that meets the definition of requiring long-term care.
Now, even if you or maybe your aging parent do not have 2 or more of these and you don't qualify under those terms, you still might need long-term care if you have some cognitive impairments, such as Alzheimer's or dementia.
Right.
So let's break down some of these scary numbers about who might need long-term care. We talked at the beginning about 2/3 of those 65 and older. So let's look at this graph that Kiplinger's put together that breaks it down a little better for us.
So Amber, what this graph shows is whether you're female or male, if you're 65 years old, based on your other health conditions. It gives us the probability you'll need long-term care and the length of time that care will be required. So look at a 65-year-old female with no other major health conditions. She has a 56% probability of requiring long-term care. And look at the length of time required. 992 days. That's a long time, right? We're talking almost 3 years there for a age 65-year-old female with no other health conditions. But then look at the male with no health conditions. He's got a 44% chance, and he'd spend about 660 days needing long-term care. Now, Amber, we give these statistics not to scare people, right? These are the actual statistics that the average 65-year-old American might be looking at. But let's take a little bit deeper dive into those with health conditions.
So let's look back at our 65-year-old female. If she has cardiovascular disease, she actually has a much higher probability of needing long-term care eventually, 61.2% probability that she will need long-term care at some point in her life. But look at high cholesterol. Now this one is interesting, Corey, because high cholesterol actually lowers your chance of needing long-term care.
Very interesting, Amber. So I don't know if that means you're just passing away earlier before you need long-term care or what. But the point is, based on your health condition today, or in this case at age 65, you can start to look at in the future, might you need long-term care? What sticks out to me on this chart, Amber, is the amount of time. These 600 plus days, 900 plus days, that's a long time needing long-term care. Now, to avoid scaring people, this is not 900 days in a nursing home, right, Amber? We're talking about probably most likely home health care. We're going to talk about the costs associated with that in a little bit. But really, there are three stages people have when they think of long-term care. There's home health care, there's assisted living, and there's skilled care, nursing home, or memory care. So what we're saying is the 65-year-old female who needs 900 plus days, a lot of that's probably being taken care of at home or in assisted living, not necessarily in a nursing home.
Now, some people mistakenly think that Medicare will cover long-term care. Now, in very specific circumstances, it does cover a short stint of long-term care.
And very specified long-term care. So Amber, the way Medicare works is this. If you go into the hospital and spend 3 or more days in the hospital and are discharged directly to a skilled care facility, okay, we're not talking home health care, we're talking about a skilled care facility, then Medicare coverage will follow you for 90 days. The exception to that is if it's for a cognitive impairment like Alzheimer's or dementia, then Medicare does not cover it. So even if you get the 90 days of coverage, when we're talking about 600 or 900 days of long-term care, we're talking about 10% maybe might be covered by Medicare. So don't count on Medicare for long-term care is the bottom line.
So we've talked about the likelihood of needing long-term care. Let's talk about the costs for a minute. For home health care, you can expect an average of $4,600 per month for 44 hours per week of care. The low end, of course, is home health care. Now, the high end of your long-term care needs will be if you have to go into a private room in a skilled nursing home. Now, on average, this exceeds $8,800 per month. Now, when we're talking about an average, it varies greatly by region. So if you are in New York, you'll pay an average of $12,930 for a private room in a skilled nursing facility.
Per month.
Per month.
Per month.
Now, if you're in Tennessee, that looks more like $7,600. So even so, that's still a lot of money.
Yeah, and Amber, I had clients who unfortunately had to pay over $12,000 a month for skilled care here just a couple of years ago. So again, it depends on where you are, and again, supply and demand, right? Maybe it's more affordable in Tennessee this year, but next year it might not be because they've had a big demand. Now, people ask me, where does assisted living fit in here? We gave them numbers for home health care and skilled care. Assisted living somewhere between those two, right? Assisted living is very common with married couples. Maybe one spouse needs some health care and the other spouse just can't keep providing it at home, so they'll transition from home care into assisted living, trying to avoid that skilled care. The other thing on there, Amber, that the survey mentioned is that skilled care is almost always required for cognitive impairment like Alzheimer's or dementia. That's often called a memory care unit. So that's actually the most expensive type of long-term care, is that cognitive impairment, because these people need round-the-clock care, right?
So in today's video, we've talked about long-term care and what that means. We've also talked about how likely you are to need it based on factors such as age and gender. And then we went over some costs.
So while some of these statistics might sound a little bit scary, but tune in next week because you might discover that while you have a probability of needing long-term care, you might not actually need long-term care insurance, because we're going to walk through this 5-question checklist that Kiplinger's Personal Finance gives us to kind of guide you through making that decision. Do you or do you not actually need long-term care insurance? So be sure to subscribe so you get notified when that video comes out, because you can make the rest of your life the best of your life.
Plan now to retire happy.